The ship called Horizon Dawn drifted through the darkness of space. It was humanity's first vessel to travel beyond their own solar system. Inside, Captain Unipark stood at the large window and watched the stars pass by like distant fireflies. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a child. Now she was here, leading 50 crew members into the unknown. "Captain, we are receiving a signal," said Minho Kang, her tactical officer. He was a tall man with calm eyes and steady hands. Nothing ever seemed to surprise him. But today, his voice carried a hint of something different. Wonder, perhaps? Or maybe fear. Yuna turned from the window. "Show me." The screen flickered to life. Strange symbols appeared, followed by a message translated into broken but understandable words. It was a greeting, an invitation. Someone out there knew they were coming. "They call themselves the Galactic Accord," Minho explained. "A union of many species. They want to meet us." Yuna felt her heart beat faster. First contact. The moment every human had imagined for centuries. She straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "Tell them we accept." 3 days later, the Horizon Dawn arrived at a massive space station. It floated in the void like a metal flower, with dozens of ships docked at its many arms. Yuna had never seen anything so large. The station could have held 100 cities inside its walls. A shuttle carried Yuna and her senior officers to the main chamber. When the doors opened, she stepped into a room filled with creatures she could never have imagined. Some had soft bodies that seemed to flow like water. Others were made of crystal, their forms catching the light and breaking it into rainbows. A few looked like walking trees. Their bark-like skin covered in glowing moss. At the center of the room sat 3 figures on raised platforms. These were the leaders of the Accord. The soft-bodied one was called a Velim. The crystal being was a Tarai, and the ancient creature wrapped in flowing robes was a Kel. "Welcome, humans," the Kel said. Its voice was like wind through old bones. "We have watched your world for a very long time." Yuna bowed her head slightly. "We are honored to meet you. Humanity has wondered for centuries if we were alone in the universe. Now we know the answer." The Velim made a sound that might have been laughter. Its body rippled like disturbed water. "You are not alone. But you are unique." "Unique?" Yuna asked. The Tarai leaned forward. Light danced inside its crystal form. "Your world. We have classified it. Earth is a Class 7 death world." Yuna did not understand. She looked at Minho, who shook his head. "I do not know that term," she admitted. The Kel raised one thin hand. A hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed Earth spinning slowly in the darkness. Then data began to scroll beside it. Numbers, graphs, measurements. "Your planet has gravity that crushes," the Kel explained. "Your atmosphere is filled with a gas that burns. Your temperatures swing from freezing cold to boiling heat. Your world is covered in predators, poisons, diseases, and disasters. Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, mass extinctions." The hologram showed images now. Lions hunting, sharks swimming, volcanoes erupting, storms destroying cities. "Most species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds," the Velim added. "Stable climates, low gravity, no predators. We grew in peace and safety. But your kind..." It paused, and its body shuddered. "Your kind crawled out of hell itself." Yuna stood very still. She had never thought of Earth as hell. It was home. It was all she had ever known. Yes, there were dangers. But there was also beauty. Sunsets over oceans. Mountains touching clouds. Forests filled with life. "We survived," she said simply. "Yes," the Kel agreed. "You survived. That is why we pity you." The word hit Yuna like a slap. Pity. She looked around the chamber and saw it now in the eyes of every alien present. They looked at her crew the way one might look at injured animals. With sadness. With concern. But not with respect. "We do not need your pity," Minho said. His voice was hard. Yuna raised a hand to quiet him, but she understood his anger. The Tarai made a chiming sound. "You misunderstand. We mean no insult. We simply recognize the trauma your species must carry. To evolve on such a world, to face such constant death. It must have broken something inside you." "We are not broken," Yuna said. But the Accord leaders were no longer listening. They had already decided what humanity was. Survivors of a nightmare world. Damaged creatures who deserve kindness, not partnership. The meeting ended with polite words and empty promises. Humanity was given a small station at the edge of Accord space. They could trade for basic supplies. They could send ambassadors to minor councils. But they would never sit with the elder races. They would never be equals. As the Horizon Dawn departed the great station, Yuna stood once again at the window. Minho joined her in silence. "They think we are weak," he finally said. "They think surviving makes us victims," Yuna replied. Minho's jaw tightened. "They have never seen what a survivor can do when pushed." Yuna did not answer. But she thought about Earth. About all the creatures that had tried to kill humanity over millions of years. About ice ages and plagues and predators in the dark. About wars and famines and disasters that should have ended them. Humanity was still here. And someday, the galaxy would understand what that truly meant. 50 years passed like water through open fingers. Humanity spread slowly across the stars, always staying in the places no one else wanted. They built mining stations on worlds with crushing gravity. They made colonies on planets with toxic air. They found homes in the dark corners of the galaxy that the Accord species considered too dangerous to touch. The elder races barely noticed. They were too busy with their own concerns. Sumin Lee had been the human ambassador to the Galactic Council for 15 years. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Every month, she sat in the great council chamber and listened to the elder races discuss matters of trade and territory. Every month, she raised her hand to speak. And every month, she was ignored. "The Kel representative has the floor," the council speaker would say. Or, "We will now hear from the Vellum delegation." Humanity's voice did not matter. They were survivors, yes. But survivors of a death world were like children to these ancient species. Pitied, protected, never respected. Then the Vorn came. Sumin first heard the name in whispers, between council sessions. The Vellum delegate looked nervous. The Tarai stopped their usual chiming songs. Even the Kel, who had lived for thousands of years, seemed worried. "Who are the Vorn?" Sumin asked a passing Velimade. The soft-bodied creature shuddered. "Conquerors. From the outer rim. They have been expanding for centuries. Taking world after world. Species after species. Why have I never heard of them?" "Because we hoped they would never come this far." The Vellum's voice dropped to a whisper. "We were wrong." The council held an emergency session 3 days later. For the first time in 50 years, Sumin was allowed to sit in the main chamber instead of the observation gallery. That told her how serious things had become. The Kel elder spoke first. "The Vorn Dominion has crossed into Accord space. They have already claimed 2 systems on the border. They do not answer our communications. They do not negotiate. What do they want?" A Tarai delegate asked. "Everything," the Kel replied. "They are predators, hunters. They evolved on a harsh world much like—" The ancient being paused and glanced at Sumin. "Much like the humans." Sumin felt every eye in the chamber turn toward her. For a moment, She thought they might finally see humanity as an ally, as equals who understood what it meant to come from a dangerous world. She was wrong. The Vorn are monsters, the Vellum delegate said. They kill without mercy. They destroy without reason. If they are like the Deathworlders, then we cannot expect humanity to help us. They are damaged in the same way. Suman stood. The chamber fell silent, surprised that she would speak without permission. You are wrong, she said. Her voice was calm but firm. Humanity is nothing like the Vorn. Yes, we come from a harsh world. Yes, we know violence. But we also know something else. We know how to fight, how to protect, how to survive when everything is trying to kill us. The cow tilted its head. What are you suggesting, Ambassador Lee? I am offering humanity's help. Our ships, our soldiers, our knowledge of war. Silence filled the chamber. Then the Tarai delegate made a sound like breaking glass. It took Suman a moment to realize the creature was laughing. You wish to fight the Vorn? The Tarai asked. Your species has existed for a single heartbeat of cosmic time. You have no orbital defense systems, no planet-killing weapons, no experience in galactic warfare. What could you possibly offer? Suman felt her jaw tighten. She thought about all the times humans had been dismissed, ignored, pitied. She thought about Earth and all its dangers, about the ancestors who had faced predators with nothing but sticks and stones, about the generations who had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We offer what a death world teaches, she said. 3 billion years of evolution spent learning to kill anything that threatens us. You think that makes us broken, but it made us into the most dangerous species our planet ever produced. And our planet was very, very good at producing dangerous things. The Kell Elder raised a hand for silence. We appreciate the offer, Ambassador, but this is a matter for the Elder races to handle. The Vorn can be reasoned with. All species can be reasoned with, given enough time and patience. And if they cannot? Suman asked. Then we will find another way. But we will not rely on Deathworlders to save us. That path leads only to more violence. The council voted. Humanity's offer was rejected by a wide margin. Suman returned to the human station that night. She stood in her small office and looked down at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vorn were coming. They would not stop because the Accord asked politely. They would not listen to reason or diplomacy. Her communication device buzzed. It was Admiral Wujin Ru, the commander of humanity's small defense fleet. I heard the council rejected our offer, he said. They did. What do we do now? Suman was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. We prepare. We train. We build. When the Accord finally realizes they need us, we will be ready. And then the galaxy will learn what it really means to be from a death world. She ended the call and turned back to the window. The stars looked cold and distant. But somewhere among them, humanity was growing stronger. Learning. Waiting. The Accord had called them survivors. They had no idea how right they were. The Vorn moved faster than anyone expected. 7 months after crossing into Accord space, they had conquered 16 worlds. The Vellum homeworld fell in a single day. Billions died or were taken as slaves. The crystal cities of the Tarai were shattered into dust. Even the ancient Kell retreated to their hidden sanctuaries, praying their enemies would not find them. Refugees poured into human space. Ships filled with terrified aliens arrived at human stations every hour. They came with nothing but the clothes on their backs and the fear in their eyes. Commander Taiho Shin stood on the bridge of his ship, the Silent Fury, and watched the refugee vessels dock at the colony of New Bizin. He was a hard man with scars on his face and gray at his temples. He had spent 30 years in the human defense fleet, training for a war he hoped would never come. That hope had died. "Commander," his communications officer said, "long-range sensors have detected a Vorn fleet. 47 ships. They are heading directly for us." Taiho nodded slowly. He had expected this. Human space was the last territory the Vorn had not touched. They had saved it for the end, like a predator saving the smallest prey for last. How long until they arrive? 12 hours. Taiho looked around his bridge. His crew was young. Most had never seen real combat. They had trained in simulations and practice formations, but they had never faced an enemy that wanted to kill them. "Send a message to all human vessels in the system," he ordered. "Tell them to gather at these coordinates. We make our stand here." The human fleet assembled over New Bizen. 5 destroyers, 12 frigates, 30 smaller craft. Against the Vorn armada, they were nothing. A handful of stones against a mountain. Dr. Hana Choi, the ship's chief medical officer, joined Taiho on the bridge. She was a quiet woman who rarely spoke, but when she did, people listened. For the past month, she had been studying everything they knew about the Vorn. "I have information that might help," she said. Taiho turned to face her. "Tell me." The Vorn evolved on a world similar to Earth. High gravity, dangerous predators, harsh conditions. That is why the Accord feared them so much. They saw the Vorn as proof that Deathworld species are violent and cruel. And are they? Hannah shook her head. They are violent, but they are also arrogant. They believe they are the greatest hunters the galaxy has ever seen. They have never met another Deathworld species in battle. Taiho felt something stir in his chest. It was not fear. It was something older. Something that had lived in human blood since the first ancestor picked up a rock to defend their family. "What else did you learn?" "Their exoskeletons are strong, but the joints are weak. They cannot handle sudden changes in pressure, and they have never encountered chemical warfare. The Accord species considered such weapons too barbaric to use." Taiho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Prepare the special munitions," he ordered, "and tell the Marines to ready their boarding craft." The Vorn fleet arrived exactly when the sensors predicted. 47 ships, each one bristling with weapons. They moved in perfect formation, confident and proud. Their commander opened a communication channel. "Deathworlders," the Vorn said. Its voice was deep and filled with contempt. "We know what you are. Primitive creatures from a violent rock. You survived your world through luck, not strength. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Taiho stared at the image on his screen. The Vorn commander was massive, covered in dark armor that gleamed under the bridge lights. It looked like something from a nightmare. "You call us primitive," Taiho said calmly. "You think coming from a death world made us weak. It made you desperate animals," the Vorn replied. "Nothing more." Taiho leaned forward. "Let me tell you about Earth. Our world did not just try to kill us. It tried to kill us in every way possible. Predators with claws and teeth. Diseases that wiped out millions. Ice ages that covered half the planet. Earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, storms. Everything on our world wanted us dead." He paused. "And we killed it all. We hunted the predators. We cured the diseases. We survived the disasters. We did not become broken. We became the thing that survives everything else." The Vorn commander laughed. "Words. Let us see if your actions match your courage." The communication ended. The Vorn fleet began to advance. Taiho gave his orders. Human ships did not fight like the Accord vessels. They did not form neat lines or fire from safe distances. They fought like the planet that made them. Fast, brutal, without mercy. The Silent Fury led the charge directly into the Vorn formation. Other ships followed, weaving between enemy vessels and unleashing weapons at point-blank range. Boarding craft launched from every human ship, carrying Marines in heavy gravity suits. The Vorn had conquered 100 worlds. They had never seen anything like this. The Battle of New Bizon turned into chaos within minutes. Explosions lit up the darkness of space like dying stars. Ships burned and broke apart. Bodies floated in the void between burning wreckage. The Vorn expected a quick victory. Their tactical computers calculated that humans would retreat after losing 15% of their forces. That was the standard response for most species. When the pain became too great, creatures ran. Humans did not run. Sergeant Jiho Beek led a 12-person squad onto a Vorn heavy cruiser. Their boarding craft punched through the ship's hull and stuck there like a metal fist. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flashed red. The air smelled like smoke and something else, something alien and sharp. "Move," Jiho ordered. "Objective is the bridge. Kill anything that gets in the way." His squad advanced through the dark corridors. They wore heavy suits designed for high gravity, the kind of gravity that would crush a vellum or shatter a Tarai. The weight felt comfortable. It felt like home. The first Vorn appeared around the corner. It was tall, covered in black armor with blades growing from its arms. It screamed and charged. Private Yoonji Han stepped forward and fired. The shot hit the Vorn in the joint between its chest and arm. The creature stumbled. Yoonji fired again, and it fell. "They're joints," Jiho reminded his squad. "Aim for the joints." They moved deeper into the ship. More Vorn came. More fell. But humans fell too. Jiho watched Corporal Do-yoon take a blade through the chest. He watched Private Jisoo collapse from blood loss. By the time they reached the central corridor, only 7 of his 12 soldiers remained. The Vorn tactical computers calculated again. 7 humans against hundreds of Vorn. The prediction was simple. Total human elimination within minutes. The prediction was wrong. Yoonji was bleeding from 3 wounds. A blade had cut her arm. Another had sliced her leg. A piece of shrapnel was buried in her shoulder. She should have fallen. She should have stopped. She picked up the rifles of her fallen comrades instead. "Give me covering fire," she said. Jiho looked at her. Blood ran down her face. Her breathing was ragged, but her eyes were clear and her hands were steady. "Yoonji," I said, "give me covering fire." He did. Yoonji walked forward into the enemy line, firing both rifles at once. Vorn fell around her like trees in a storm. She did not stop. She did not slow down. 3 billion years of evolution had built her for this moment. To keep fighting when the body screamed to stop. To keep surviving when everything said she should die. They reached the bridge doors. Behind them lay a trail of Vorn bodies. The ship's internal communications crackled with panicked voices. The creatures inside did not understand what was happening. They had conquered 100 worlds. They had never lost. Jiho placed explosive charges on the door. "Stack up." His remaining soldiers pressed against the walls. 5 of them now. 5 against, however, many waited inside. The odds did not matter. They had never mattered. The charges detonated. The doors blew inward. Jiho led the charge. The Vorn commanders stood at the center of the bridge. It was the same creature that had mocked them over the communications channel. Up close, it was even more terrifying. 2 meters tall, covered in scars from 100 battles. Eyes that burned with rage. "Why?" The commander roared. "Why do you not stop? You are dying. Your ships are burning. There is no victory for you here. Why do you keep fighting?" Jiho stepped forward. His squad fanned out behind him, weapons raised. Bodies of Vorn bridge officers lay scattered across the floor. "You want to know why?" Jiho asked. The commander stared at him. "You called us Deathworlders. You said it like an insult. Like coming from a dangerous planet made us less than you. Jiho shook his head slowly. You did not understand what it means. Then tell me, the commander growled. Before I kill you, tell me what it means. Jiho thought about Earth, about the ice ages that should have ended humanity, about the plagues that killed millions, about the predators that hunted them in the dark, about every disaster, every threat, every creature that tried to wipe them from existence. It means everything on our planet tried to kill us, he said. For millions of years. Every day. Every moment. The planet itself wanted us dead. He raised his weapon. And we are still here. We survived. We won. We became the thing that nothing could kill. The thing that kills everything that threatens us. The commander's eyes widened. What chance? Jiho asked. Did you ever have? He fired. The Vorn flagship went silent. Then its weapons went cold. Then its engines stopped. Outside, the human fleet watched a massive ship drift. Commander Taiho Shin received a message from the boarding team. 2 words. Bridge secured. The Vorn armada hesitated. Their flagship was gone. Their commander was dead. For the first time in their history of conquest, they felt something they had only ever inflicted on others. Fear. The human fleet pressed forward, and the slaughter truly began. The war lasted 2 years. It ended not with a peace treaty or a surrender ceremony, but with silence. The Vorn dominions simply stopped existing. Humanity hunted them across the stars. They chased them back through every system the Vorn had conquered. They freed the slaves. They destroyed the war machines. They burned the Vorn military installations until nothing remained but ash floating in the void. The Accord species watched from the safety of their hidden sanctuaries. They had expected humanity to negotiate once the immediate threat was over. That was how civilized species handled conflict. You won a few battles. Then you talked. You made agreements. You found common ground. Humans did not negotiate with predators. They eliminated them. Admiral Wujin Ru stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, and watched the last Vorn stronghold burn. 63 years old now, with white hair and more scars than he could count. He had started this war as a rear admiral with a small fleet. He had ended it as the most feared military commander the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral, his communications officer said, "We are receiving a message from the Galactic Council. They want to meet." Wujin smiled. Now they want to talk. He remembered Ambassador Suman Lee standing before the council 50 years ago, offering humanity's help. He remembered how they had laughed, how they had called humans damaged children from a nightmare world. Suman had died 3 years into the war. A Vorn raid on a human station. She had refused evacuation, choosing to stay and help coordinate the defense until the last moment. Wujin kept a picture of her in his quarters, a reminder of why they fought. "Tell them I will come," he said. The council chamber looked different now. Half the seats were empty. Species that had once filled the great room with color and sound were gone, taken by the Vorn before humanity stopped them. The surviving delegates sat in silence as Wujin entered. He wore his military uniform. No medals, no decorations. Just clean fabric and the weight of everything he had done. The Kel Elder was still there. The ancient creature looked even older now, its robes faded, its voice thin and tired. "Admiral Ru," the Kel said, "thank you for coming. We wish to speak with you." Wujin stood in the center of the chamber. He did not bow. He did not sit. "Speak," he said. The Kel shifted uncomfortably. "We made a mistake. Many years ago, when your species first arrived, we judged you by the world you came from. We thought that surviving such a place must have damaged you, broken you, made you less than what we considered civilized. You pitied us," Wujin said. "Yes, The Kel lowered its head. We pitied you. And we were fools. A Terai delegate spoke next. Its crystal body was cracked in several places, scars from the war. We did not understand what Deathworld truly meant. We thought it was a curse, a mark of tragedy. We did not realize it was something else entirely. What did you think it meant? Woojin asked. We thought it meant you were victims, the Terai admitted. Survivors of horror. Creatures shaped by trauma. And now? The Terai's form flickered with inner light. Now we understand. A death world does not create victims. It creates something else. Something that can look at the universe and all its dangers and say, I have faced worse. I am still here. Woojin was silent for a long moment. He thought about Earth, about all the generations of humans who had lived and died on that dangerous, beautiful world. About every ancestor who had faced a predator, survived a disease, endured a disaster. They had passed down more than genes. They had passed down something harder to define. A refusal to die. A stubborn, endless determination to keep going no matter what. The Vorm called us primitive, Woojin finally said. They thought because we came from a harsh world, we must be weak. But they came from a harsh world too. Why did they fall when we did not? The Kel answered. We have thought about this. The Vorn evolved on a death world, yes. But they became predators. Hunters who saw the universe as prey to be consumed. When they found something they could not easily kill, they did not know what to do. And humanity? Humanity became something different. You did not just learn to kill. You learned to adapt, to endure, to work together against threats that should have destroyed you. The Vorn were predators. You were survivors. And in the end, survivors always win. Because predators hunt until they find something that fights back. But survivors never stop fighting. The Council voted that day to elevate humanity to Tier 1 status. Full voting rights. Full military partnership. Equal standing with the oldest species in the galaxy. It was everything humanity had asked for 60 years ago. Woojin accepted the honor with a simple nod. Afterward, Dr. Nari Song found him in the corridor outside the chamber. She was young, barely 40, newly appointed as humanity's permanent representative to the Accord. She had been born during the war and had grown up with stories of the Vorn. Admiral, she said, some of the delegates are worried. They whisper that humans are too dangerous, too unpredictable. They wonder if they should fear us. Woojin looked at her. Should they? Nari considered the question. I think they should respect us. Fear is for enemies. We are not their enemy. Not yet, Woojin said. But make sure they understand something, Ambassador. We did not fight the Vorn because we enjoyed killing. We fought because we protect what is ours. The Accord belongs to all of us now. If anyone threatens it, human or alien, they will face the same response. He began to walk away, then paused. They called us Deathworlders. They wrote it in their records like a warning. But they still forgot to fear us. He looked back at Nari. Make sure they never forget again. Outside the great station, human ships patrolled the rebuilt borders of civilized space. Their crews had survived poison atmospheres, crushing gravity, and temperatures that would kill any other species. They were the children of a world that tested them every single day. The galaxy had called them Deathworlders. Now, finally, it understood what that truly meant, and it would never forget.